What's up, everybody? How's it going? My name is I'm Big Cheds. You can find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. I'm a Japanese candlestick trader. I'm a newbie helper. I study volume. I'm also studying classical charting. You check out chedstrading.blogspot.com. I have the beginner's guide to cryptocurrency trading that I made for you guys to check it out there. I'm also an author. I just published my memoir on battling cancer. It's my pinned tweet on Twitter at Big Cheds. I'm also on YouTube at Cheds Trading, and I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin.live. And this is REKT.
Hello and welcome to REKT Podcast. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host Crypto Chamber. Chamber, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. I just mixed up my cocaine, Adderall, coffee cocktail for the morning, and we're off to the races. I just want to say that was the best intro of any guest we have had since the dawning of the show. That was fantastic. Bunch, you want to introduce our guest to the show today?
I mean, do I have to? I think he covered everything there. So we are very honored today to be joined by Big Cheds. Cheds, how you doing, man?
I'm hanging out, man. I'm glad the intro worked well for you. Our plan was executed perfectly, I must say.
Yeah, definitely no mistakes on the back end for sure. But we are happy to have you. We're pumped for this podcast. So, I mean, let's get right into it. So first, how you faring with all the craziness going on in the world? What's been up in your world?
I'm doing pretty well. I think a lot of people are hurting right now, and my heart goes out to them. I'm here with my family. We live in New England, and we're managing pretty well. We've got a nice place to live, plenty of food, and we're managing. I think, my daughter is not in school, so it's tough for her to not have, see her friends. Mm-hmm. But I'm doing okay, and we're managing. So thank you for asking.
Chamber, you can relate to the daughter not in school.
I can.
Correct?
That being said, my daughter has no friends, so she, it's irrelevant.
Oh, that's so sad. I have a feeling it's because of her crazy father.
Yeah, no, she has a half human, half Sasquatch father that walks into school most days. So that helps. But no, I hear you there, Cheds. It's tough with the kids at the house. They can't go out and play with their friends. Like we have neighbors on both sides of us that have kids her age that she can't really play with.
Same here, man. All around us, and you just can't go over and play with it.
Right.
Now.
It's so tough, right?
The kids in my neighborhood are not social distancing. No, their families are letting them run buck wild.
It's bad parenting right there.
I guess. I mean, but what are you gonna do? They're probably driving them crazy otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, so you guys all heard by his intro the myriad of things that Cheds is into. So let's get into talking about that. So you listed off a bunch of things. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I've been trading for a while. I've been trading for over 10 years, but I started taking it really seriously back in 2013 and 14 when pot stocks became legal. Not pot stocks, when I guess the U.S. started to decriminalize. I don't remember if it was California or what it was, but there was a big boom of liquidity in the OTC penny stock market, and I really started trading that. And I made a lot of mistakes, and we'll talk about those later. I got wrecked many times over. But what I did was I started to learn from my mistakes, and with that, I started to kind of pass that on to other people. And that's how I started to grow my Twitter account, and that's why I started my blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com. I came up with the tagline, helping new traders avoid my old mistakes, because I kept making a lot of old mistakes, and so
I like that.
It helped me to show other people what not to do, to kind of remind myself not to do it myself. And a lot of that was kind of the genesis of my online presence, my Twitter account, and this blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com, that I started back in 2014.
That's pretty awesome. So, you said you started with, the penny stocks and everything. So,
Yeah.
How did you get first exposed to crypto? What made you make the switch over here, and when was that?
I started looking at crypto in kind of the early to middle part of 2017. My good buddy, I don't know if you've heard of him, is at Big Cheds on Twitter, Big Cheds, and
That sounds like
I
a great buddy comedy is
Yes.
Jonas and Cheds. I think would be
Yeah.
a great
Big buddies, Jonas and Ched.
Jonas and Cheds.
It's funny. I've known him for decades, and those are kind of nicknames that our friends gave us in real life, and they kind of translated.
That's what Bunchu is. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, exactly. So it means something for you, usually more than it does for the people online. So in this case, yeah. So Big Cheds got me into crypto. It's funny. I remember he had like a Coinbase wallet. I remember looking at his phone and seeing like Ethereum, Litecoin. I remember thinking like, oh, that's so weird. What are those precious metals doing on your phone? Like, I don't get it. Like, it was just something different to me. So I started tweeting out crypto charts. I started tweeting out Litecoin and Bitcoin charts in 17, and I noticed like, oh wow, I'm getting some retweets here. I'm getting some likes. People are interacting with me, and I realized, wow, there's really something going on here. So I started tapping into it, and right about that time, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma. Back in right at Thanksgiving of 2017. So as I was going through my cancer treatment, crypto was really taking off, crypto Twitter. So it gave me like a great distraction. So I didn't have to focus on going through cancer treatment. I could focus on Bitcoin 20K. I could focus on all the alt season. So that was like an outlet for me that I used as I was going through a tough time, and that's a lot of what I write about in my book is kind of that journey. So that's kind of how it all tied in together, and here I am years later.
Wow, that's a pretty awesome story. So, are you 100% cancer free at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's no. It's with cancer, it's called no evidence of disease. Like that. That's your best case. Once you've had it, and you hopefully pass through it, you pass through your treatment. There's no evidence of disease. It's not 100%, but it's pretty much 100%. With my lymphoma, and it was an aggressive blood cancer. It's been 2 years since I completed treatment, so the doctors say that it probably would have come back by now. So the phrase they use, I talk about in my book, is that it's most likely in my rear view mirror.
That's awesome.
It's how they put it. But it's always kind of in the back of my mind, a little bit of, it's like having a shadow. That you're afraid of your shadow, but I've shed that. I feel strong. I feel great. I'm healthy. And, moving forward best I can.
That's awesome. See, who said crypto Twitter wasn't good for something?
We found the one case.
There you go.
It was therapy during a trying time,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that was maybe pre-Chamber, and then Chamber came in and ruined the whole thing.
Cheds, what's the name of the book? I think you may have said it at the start of the show, but can we say the name of the book again?
It's called My Battles with Cancer, a Candid Patient and Caregivers Memoir. And it's not just my battle, but my battles, because after I finished my cancer treatment, my mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
And it eventually took her life.
Oh, man.
So you get to see, I went through the journey of being a patient and then a caregiver and then grieving her death. And so kind of that whole experience is in this book.
Wow. That's a pretty powerful story. I'm going to have to pick this thing up.
I've been living it for the last 2 years. I'm glad to have it done. I want to move on.
Is the book just freshly out?
Yeah, it came out yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hot off
days
the
ago.
press.
So
Hot off
sweet.
the press,
All right,
yeah.
cool. Great
Yeah.
timing. Well, good luck with the book. We'll obviously tweet it all out and everything and make sure that we get the word out there. But that's pretty cool. So, what's it like writing a book? I mean, especially about such something so.
I was going to ask him what's it like reading.
Well, I mean, I was wondering the same thing. But what's it like writing a book, especially something about something so personal and powerful?
Well, it was really hard, but it was cathartic. As things were happening, as I was going, before I started writing the book, I was taking notes, going to my doctor's office visits, having certain interactions that really made a difference. There was just real quickly. There was when I got my diagnosis, I was with my oncologist, and he was telling me, "Hey, you have cancer," and I'm talking to him. And then he handed me a box of tissues, and I was like, "Well, that's weird. Why are you handing me a box of tissues? I'm not crying." I looked behind me; my wife was crying, and I realized there were people other than me that were going through this. And so that was it reminded me I need to be strong for other people. It's not just me that's going through this. So stories like that. I wrote that down. I wrote down these other stories. I was wearing a face mask. A woman sat down, and I smiled at her. And then I didn't I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had my face mask on. And she said, "Oh, I knew. I could see you smiled with your eyes."
That's cool.
Little stories like that, little anecdotes, what it was like, watching the medicine go through the IV line into my veins. I took these notes for myself, but for other people, knowing that when you're diagnosed, it's really scary. It's unknown what's going to happen next. So I had a mission, I had a purpose to help people, to inspire people, but also myself. Because I believe that by facing my challenges up front, I could absorb them, I could pass through them. You ever watch like Dune with the Fremen, and you kind of pass through it. So I've always believed you have to pass through difficult experiences and not ignore them. Writing was maddening because you write it, you have to keep working it like you're kneading dough. So. A paragraph, you write it 20 times and you read it 40 times until you get it to where you need to. And the book is longer than 3 of the Harry Potter novels. So
wow,
it took some time, and I'm ready to move on to my next project. My next book is going to be on trading, and I'm looking at the differences between Eastern and Western technical analysis. And trading psychology, and I'm really looking forward to writing that and to studying and researching for that.
Take that, J.K. Rowling.
It's not
that bitch
as good,
never
though.
gonna buy. She's never gonna buy crypto, and she can't write a book longer than Cheds.
That's funny. Man.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Had you ever written before that? Was that or is this something that's brand new?
I've always been creative. I've never written or published a book. I did the beginnings of a book about 20 years ago. I wrote a book on a dream journal. I used to do something called lucid dreaming, where you're dreaming.
I've always wanted to do that.
And you realize that you're dreaming within the dream, and you get power. It's almost like Neo in the Matrix, where you can kind of do anything. So I had a lot of dreams like that, and those dreams helped me understand kind of my own personal dynamics and what was going on in my relationships with friends and family. And I wrote like a short story book of my dreams, but I never really published it. And I actually plan on revisiting. That will be book number 3. I kind of plan on revisiting that and making it interesting, down the road.
That's very interesting. When I was a kid, I used to lucid dream as well.
Yeah.
And I used to get pissed because, I remember specifically, I was being attacked, or there was some bad guys coming after me, and I manifested like a machine gun, right? I was like 8 years old. I'm like, okay, I got this. But I also remember, certain dreams where there'd be, a girl there. And I'm trying to manifest, the next steps. Mm-hmm. And I realized much later down the road that I couldn't. I'd get mad because shit. I'm like, I want this to go a certain way, but it was never happening. And I realized at 7 or 8 years old or 10 years old, whatever it was, that I didn't know what that looked like, so I couldn't manifest it in my head.
Oh my God.
It's very upsetting.
That is funny.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I realized I'm much later down the road. I'm like, yeah, the reason I couldn't do that, because I mentioned that to somebody, and they're like, yeah, it's because you didn't know what boobies look like.
That's funny.
That's really funny. But anyway, so you also mentioned, the next one you're going to write on is Eastern versus Western TA and things like that. So let's get into that a little bit. So you mentioned in your intro also that you're primarily studying and trading Japanese candlesticks. So maybe explain to some of our listeners, what that means, what's the difference, and how you kind of chose that as your kind of trading path.
So Japanese candlesticks have been around for hundreds of years. I believe it was late 17th century, maybe early 18th. But rice. So there was these feudal lords in Japan, and they essentially spent all their rice grains. So they started trading on rice futures, like the future rice from their servants or whatever, their people that were going to come bring in rice. And through that, like the art of the technical analysis was born for Japanese candlesticks. And with all technical analysis, it's really about the psychology of the market. You're trying to understand the force of any kind of trend. You're trying to understand like when a trend is reversing, and all that good stuff. When I was really getting into the penny stocks back in 2014, I started to get interested in Japanese candlestick analysis. What's this hammer signal? That's cool. What's a morning star? What's a doji? And I started to really study it. And at this point, I feel like, Japanese candlesticks right now are my strength. I teach them at Bitcoin Live, among other things. And I feel like, if there's someone who's better with candlesticks, I want to meet them so I can learn from them. I've identified that my weakness is, so that's Eastern technical analysis, it's Japanese candlesticks. Western technical analysis would be classical charting. So for example, you have in Western TA, you have a lot of trend lines, and you have a lot of patterns like a bull flag, a symmetrical triangle, a bull pennant. You take like a head and shoulders pattern, something that everybody knows, or a lot of people know. Head and shoulders in classical TA, it's also called three Buddha in Eastern TA, or in Japanese candlesticks. So I like kind of looking at the differences between, what the similarities are and the differences. You have like an inside bar in classical TA, Western TA, and then you have like a harami in Japanese candlesticks. And one uses the candle body, one uses the candle wick, the whole range, and that'd be classical TA. And then you have trading psychology all mixed in. So I studied psychology in college, and a lot of what I do is kind of looking at it from that perspective, and it's just as powerful as technical analysis. Like a lot of the times, especially in Bitcoin, you can tell when the market's going to bottom based on sentiment, based on Twitter sentiment. You can see when people are giving up and saying that Bitcoin's a scam and it's going to go to 3K, you're close to the bottom. And when Bitcoin's going 20K and everyone's, if you sold, you're an idiot, that's when it's gonna top. For example, so you can kind of study social sentiment. You can, and also risk management comes in when you talk about trading psychology. In the sense you have to not be greedy. You have to take profit. You have to understand your own mentality, how you're approaching a trade, why you're trading. Is it because you're bored? So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And what I want to do is kind of look at all of that. Put together some of the things I've learned. I told you before about helping new traders avoid my old mistakes. So I kind of want to roll that all in, kind of a blend of East, West, and trading psychology.
That's super interesting. So have you found that, like for you, obviously, Japanese candlesticks is kind of your primary use, correct? Mm-hmm. So have you found that just to be more reliable for you, just easier to, understand? How did you kind of make that? How did you come to that decision? Because it sounds like there's a lot of similarities. Yeah,
it just worked for me. I studied it, I learned it, I read a lot of books on it, and I've been using it. But now I thirst. Every method has its blind spots, so I want to learn what I don't know. I'm studying right now also for CMT. I'm going to take the CMT Level 1 exam in December, Chartered Market Technician. And to do that, I have to learn all these other styles. I have to learn Elliott Waves. I have to learn cycles. So I want to know what I don't know. I want to be familiar. I want to be fluent to a certain extent in all these different methods. Japanese candlesticks, it's just something works for you. You never really know why you like a type of music, or I don't know, you like a brunette versus a blonde. I don't know, whatever metaphor you want to use. I just stuck to candlesticks. I like the fact that I know them now like the back of my hand. But with that, I've identified what I don't know, like the back of my hand, and I'm trying to really brush that up. So I'm reading a great book by Richard Schaubacher on classical charting, technical analysis, and stock market profits is the name of it, and it's awesome. And I'm, because I've always, volume is very interesting to me, so I'm learning about the different ways to use volume with the different chart patterns, and my brain likes it. So that's maybe the short answer.
Chamber, what candlesticks do you like, brown or brunette?
Yeah.
I mean, blonde or brunette?
I'm partial to the red candlesticks myself.
Okay.
Kissed by fire.
That's right. I'm always. I was thinking when you said, "Oh, like the back of my hand," and people use that term all the time, and I'm like,
yes.
I looked at the back of my hand for a second,
right,
and I'm like, I think I know the front of my hand more than the back of my hand.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I think the red candlesticks are the only ones I'm aware of.
I mean, that's the REKT candlestick. That's the REKT candlestick.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome, man. So let's talk about. So your crypto journey started in. It sounds like around the same time mine did. So I got in around 2017 as early to mid, so I think I think March, around there of 2017. Chamber was literally at the top of 2017. Yeah. So I think December, Chamber, or Thanksgiving.
I think it was November 27th.
Yeah. Okay.
So
but who's counting?
Yeah, just after
the day it all changed. So of course on the it wouldn't be REKT podcast if we didn't ask you about some of your crypto REKT stories along the way. Honestly, they don't even have to be crypto since you've been trading other markets. But give us a couple of your REKT stories.
So I've been wrecked many times. I think it's the only way to get unwrecked or to keep going. I have some crypto wreck stories, but just kind of backing up. I got really annihilated in penny stocks because there's a lot of mistakes I made. For example, I had one play that I bought at 0.0014, which is like it's not even a penny. It's like whatever that is. It's like 1.4 cents or whatever.
Sure.
Not even
there's about 2,000 cryptocurrencies that go for that price.
Yeah, exactly. These micro caps. So I bought that, and it ran to 45 cents. It had like a 27,000% move.
Wow.
And I made like stupid money on it. And then I lost. I basically more or less I lost $250,000 in a penny stock. And I bought it at 3 cents, and then I bought it at 2 cents, then I bought it at a cent, then I bought, and it keeps going down. And it's a rule. I kept averaging down on my losers, and I didn't know what a stop loss was. I didn't have a trading thesis, a reason or an idea for my trade, and I believed the hype. So I learned about the power, the danger of believing the pumpers, the people who are out there telling you, like anytime.
Yes, the Twitter talking heads too.
Twitter talking heads, the message board talking heads. They say, like, if it's going down, they say, they're manipulating the price so they can load cheapies. And if it bounces a little bit, they try to discourage you from selling by saying, oh, you're selling for lunch money or for beer money. And there's all this like psychology of the market. So I got really wrecked doing that. I had a lot of times where I was holding penny stocks, and then I would come in the next day and like that penny stock got suspended, so my money went to zero. Like that sucked. When I started trading options, I did a lot. I was so many dumb things. I have a friend that I still owe $10,000 of his money I lost. But like with options, it's all about like the theta, the time decay. So like you buy an option on Monday saying you expect it to go to the moon by Friday, and then like Friday comes around and it's not there. It hasn't hit your target, and it just every day towards Friday it loses a certain amount of value, time decay. So I did a lot with options. I did a lot of like averaging down on contracts that ended up expiring and like going to zeros. I just, you know what I mean? You have to make a lot of really dumb mistakes. That's why I empathize with people when I see them. Oh, I did this, I did that, I got wrecked. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like that's human nature. Your greed gets in, your lack of experience. You listen to the wrong people. For crypto, my wife keeps asking me when Litecoin is going to go back to $300.
We might have some bad news for her.
Yeah, her average is $300 for the like. I bought into the hype, man. I'm like, Litecoin's going to 1,000, baby. Like, you know. So she's still sitting on a little Litecoin hodl at $300 average, and that's my wife. So
that's funny.
You know, that's I got wrecked there. You could say for sure.
Charlie Lee got us all.
Yeah, oh man, Charlie Lee.
That's really funny. So, you know, you said you bought into the hype. So what's some advice you might give to anybody new or recently started trading, or even just that's been trading for a while that you wish you had during that time?
Well, I mean, there's a rule. Everybody says this is don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. That's a pretty obvious one. If you're desperate, maybe you're going to do it anyway. But you really need to try to find a way to remove your emotional connection. So I would say you need to try to monitor yourself as you're trading. Are you excited? Do you think it's risky? Like keep a journal of your trades. You know, when you enter a trade, write down, this is why I'm entering the trade. This is what I think is going to happen. This is my plan. You know, when all is said and done, write down what happened after the fact, because you need to learn from your mistakes. If you don't, you're going to keep repeating them. So keep a journal, keep a trading log, an Excel spreadsheet. This is my entry, this is my exit. You know, try to find a way to monitor yourself, because no one else gives a shit about you. Like you gotta give a shit about yourself, because no one else will, and you gotta find a way to monitor yourself, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting for trading, and even running any kind of business on your own, being entrepreneurs, is accountability, because nobody. You're right. It could get very lonely very quick, and two, there's nobody coming, right? It's just you. It's so you have to hold yourself accountable, and in order to kind of take yourself to the next level, in my opinion. What else you got, world. Chamber?
I was gonna say, I get when you were saying, write down, if you're feeling excited, if you're feeling anxious. You hit the nail right on the head, because I know a lot of people have gotten into crypto specifically through gambling. We have a lot of gamblers, I think, out there. People chasing that, baby. People chasing that high, and you're 100% right. It's obviously a form of gambling, where I guess in certain cases, depending on who you are, you have a little bit more ability to read and react to.
Well, that's gamble. It, right? You're looking for an edge.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you hit it right on the head by saying, hey, let's write down how you're feeling, what your expectations are, what your plan is. And then revisit it and do a post-mortem after the fact and say, hey, this is what happened. This was my plan, and did I hit it? Did I stick to the plan, or did I fuck up and become a moon boy overnight? Because that happens, right?
I think the interesting thing too there is like the emotional piece, like you said, right? It's how did I feel during that time, because that has a lot to do with your psychology going in and out of even the next trade, right? Or, hey, this is what happened when I felt this way. What can I do to avoid that next time, right?
I mean, that's really it. It's harder. It's like that's the hardest part. And anybody could recognize a bull flag or head and shoulders. But it's really easy to mess up a good play. So there's things you can do. Like it's almost like success in spite of yourself, and that's the only way to do it. Is you're going to constantly try to find ways to kind of trip yourself up, and you have to manage. You have to manage in spite of yourself. You have to force yourself to take profit, to scale in, to scale out. You have to force yourself to use a stop loss. And you have to use bankroll management. You talked about gambling. I wrote an article many years ago on my blog called 5 Ways Trading is Like Poker. I was a poker grinder. I was playing 6 tables at a time. I was, playing 30 tournaments a day. And you have to allow yourself the ability to fade volatility. So you don't want to put more than 5% of your bankroll in any play. For example, you have to do things like that just to allow yourself to absorb losses, absorb volatility, absorb bad luck. And you have to think about it that way. You have to kind of you have to manage your own mistakes, and you have to succeed in spite of yourself, is what I would say.
Very interesting. Yeah, and I think that's really the key to somebody who does it casually, or the 50x long guy, and then the guy that's grinding it 12 hours a day, right? So and then just for you personally, I'm just curious, because everybody has their own. What about time frame preference for you? Like, are you someone that swing trades on the daily, or are you intraday, 5-minute candle? Where are you at?
So I like to understand where I am. I start at the daily chart, and I usually go out to like a 3-day or a weekly to get a sense of the broader trend. When I'm leverage trading, when I'm flipping, I'm usually in a lower time frame, maybe an hour, sometimes a 15-minute. If there's volatility, I was just looking at Twitter on 15-minute. We had a Bollinger Pinch, a really tight kind of a consolidation after that big move. So kind of depending on what's going, I'll look at a lower time frame, but I always keep in mind the smaller the time frame, the greater the chance for a false signal. But just to kind of give you a more simple answer, I really focus on what's going on in the daily chart. I like 4 hour, I like 1 hour. It's hard for a parent to tell you which of their children they like the most.
That's what Chamber will tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, no problem.
That's funny. Yeah, cool, man. I think you have a really interesting story, and just really powerful as well. So I think it'll be inspiring for a lot of our audience and people to hear. Chamber, what else you got? Anything else?
I was gonna say, I think Cheds has been probably the guest we've had that has, and obviously, your cancer story even aside, that's its own thing. But I think you grasp. I think we're on the same page as far as providing people out there with stories, and you really capture the REKT attitude that we're trying to do as well. Like, hey,
yes.
like a lot of people are fucking wrecked out there. Here are ways not to get as wrecked if you listen a little bit. So I think you symbolize kind of our best guest as far as what we're trying to do here on our end. So I appreciate those stories. Obviously, I'm excited to read the book as well, to see your journey with cancer. But again, that aside, I mean, just understanding the markets and understanding how people are getting wrecked, and helping them out as much as you can. I think that's really good.
Yeah, first of all, flattery will get you everywhere. So.
Absolutely.
You catch more flies with honey.
That's right, baby. I've always been a social animal, and I mean, it's not like 100% altruistic. By helping other people not get wrecked, it helps me not get wrecked too. It's just
right.
You see people have Twitter feeds where it's like once in a while they'll throw out a disclaimer and they say, my Twitter feed is just to remind myself later of what I did, So it you want to make it instructive for other people, but it also helps you. And like I said, back when I just saw so many people getting being taken advantage by the pumpers back in the OTC penny stock market, and I just wanted to help them. and it worked. It was a role I enjoyed. I embraced, and I think we got to look out for each other, man. It's a tough world.
I agree. So we appreciate you sharing your story, definitely. And Chamber, you ready to get to some fun and games here?
Oh yeah, here we go.
This is my favorite part of the show.
I forgot.
All right, explain to the people what we got, buddy.
So, as our listeners may or may not know, when we do have guests on, we like to ask, what trivia category they're most confident in. And I happen to be messaging back with Cheds, and I think I asked him yesterday. I said, "Hey, what category you feel most comfortable in?" And right away, I think he said I want to say Star Trek.
Yeah.
You're a big Star Trek guy.
Yeah.
Mostly Next Generation and Voyager.
Yeah.
All right. But you also said Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And I thought we agreed that Game of Thrones was going to be the category. I thought for some reason Bunchu didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I was asking him prior to, and he did. But I think I'm going to go up against you for Game of Thrones.
You're gonna go up. Yeah.
So
I don't want to go up against anyone, man.
No, that's how this works.
It's going to be funny because I'm going to go on record. I've watched every single episode of Game of Thrones. I couldn't tell you the name of 3 characters.
Oh, you're in trouble.
My ability to retain Game of Thrones information is comical. So you will probably wipe the floor with me.
I might have found the hardest trivia quiz on the internet too. So you guys are screwed.
My wife gets mad at me every time we would watch, every Sunday, whatever it was.
Yeah.
5 minutes into it, I'm like, who's this guy again?
Oh my God.
Who's this guy again?
my wife does that, and I make fun of her so hard. Like, we will literally be in season 5 of a show that we're binge watching. So not like something she's had to wait a year for. Like, we'll have literally been watching hours upon hours of this television show, and she'll be like, wait, who the hell's that? Or like she'll be trying to describe it to me and she'll be like, oh man, what's the guy's name? I'm like, we literally just watched 5 hours of it.
That's awesome.
It's so funny. But I think I might have found this touts itself as the hardest Game of Thrones quiz on the internet. So we're going with this.
I hope I don't embarrass myself. So
that's
we'll
okay. So what did we do last week where we literally had, I don't think any of us got any of them right.
I forget what the last one was. You're right though. Nobody. I can't think of what the category was, but nobody got anything right. I think it was 90. Was it 90?
90s TV? Yeah, 90s TV.
Was it 90s
something.
TV and nobody got anything right? It was a tough one. It was a tough category.
That's a terrible category.
Well, it was better than Bryan Adams' 90s love songs that I got Chamber on.
I did okay.
Yeah, you did pretty good actually.
I did okay.
All right, so Chamber, I'm going to start with you.
All right, sounds good.
Who was responsible for the creation? I'm going to give you multiple choice.
Okay.
Who was responsible for the creation of the Night King? Is it A, Lord of the Light, B, the Children of the Forest, C, the Drowned God, or D, the First Men?
Can you say the who they made?
It's an easy one.
The Night King.
The Night King.
Yeah. Ched, you're gonna have a chance to steal when he inevitably botches this.
So the Night King, is that the White Walker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're not good at Game of Thrones.
I've literally watched every episode. I'm gonna the first people.
The Lord of the Light. All right, that is incorrect. Ched's for the steal.
It's the Children of the Forest. They put dragon glass inside the heart of the first men because they were dying. They were getting killed by the first men. So they created the White Walkers and the Night King. And actually, in the book, the Night King was a former commander of the Night's Watch.
You are so fucked, Chamber.
And
my goodness!
And he went beyond the wall and he met a White Walker and fell in love with her. And so he had a baby with an undead. It's crazy stuff.
Ooh. That is correct.
Damn it!
What if I said it? What if I came back and just was like, oh, that's wrong? All right. So this one. So Ched's
one's
is up
Ched's
1-0.
again. Yeah.
Ched's up 1-0. It's Ched's turn. In the TV show, what was Hodor called before he got his tragic
Willis.
door-holding nickname? Wow. Didn't even need the multiple choice.
Son of a bitch.
Willis is an option, and Willis is correct. Oh, you are so screwed, Chamber.
This is bad. Okay. All right. Stop playing around. Stop
You're
playing
not.
around.
You're not gonna. Oh my god.
I gotta
you're
get
gonna
one.
rocked. All right. Here's question 3.
All right.
Who was the leader of the Golden Company Sellswards when Dany ransacked King's Landing? Was it Wes Borland, Harry Strickland, Kiefer Sutherland, or Robert Westland? I hope you choose.
Okay,
Kiefer
Wes
Sutherland.
Borland is definitely the guitar player from Limp Bizkit. Or the neighbor in Home Improvement? I'm not
That's
sure.
Al Borland.
Oh, okay. Definitely not. So can I have the last 3 names again?
Harry Strickland, Kiefer Sutherland,
It's definitely not Kiefer.
and Robert Westland. So in your mind, you have a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, I'm going Robert Westland.
You picked wrong.
Ah, damn it!
I didn't get. Well, I guess it could still be Wes Borland or Kiefer Sutherland. Cheds for the steal.
Give me it was the second one. I always thought it was Dario Naharis.
It is
Strickland?
Harry Strickland.
Yeah, Strickland. Yeah.
Okay, 3-0 Cheds.
This is really getting out of hand here.
Cheds,
Yeah.
your turn. Here's the question. Dany's dragons are or were called Drogon, Viserion, and option A, Dougal.
No.
Oh, Siri trying to answer the question.
Chamber's
Vagar,
fucked.
Rhaegal, or Balerion.
Oh, it's not Balerion. That's an old dragon. Balerion the Dread. That was from the previous one, Dance with Dragons.
Right. No, I definitely knew that too.
Give me.
I actually know this one.
I'm
All
not.
right.
Give it to me again. I think I know. I think it's Rhaegal, but give me them again.
Dougal,
No.
Vagar, Rhaegal, or
Rhaegal.
Balerion.
I'll go with Rhaegal.
That is correct.
Goddamn.
A 4-0 ass kicking out the gates. All right. You're never getting this one either, so let's...
I have a 25% chance. You kidding
All right.
me?
Ewan Rayon, who played Ramsay Bolton,
Yeah.
was almost cast as which character? All right, you have a shot at this.
I think I know this.
Jon Snow, Gendry, Podrick Payne, or Robb Stark?
I think he was supposed to be. Sorry, what? Give me the names again.
Jon Snow,
Yeah.
Gendry, Podrick Payne,
I think he was
Robb
supposed to be
Stark.
Jon Snow.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
That is correct.
I think I heard that.
Nice.
I know about the actors.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
That is correct. Well done, Chamber. You're on the board. Question number 6. Who said, "I don't plan on knitting by the fire while men fight for me"? Is it Lyanna Mormont, Sansa Stark, Sir Brienne of Tarth, or Olenna Tyrell?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's your Cheds.
It's
gonna
either
steal
Sansa or
one.
Lyanna. I'll go with Lyanna.
Lyanna is correct.
Damn it! I thought I was gonna steal one for sure.
Why, you knew that one?
No, I was just thought I would have one off the board.
All right, number 7 here. Oh no, hold on, sorry. That's a picture question. You can't see that. Which body part did Kit Harington say was in severe pain when filming the dragon riding scenes in
What the
season
fuck?
8? His right arm, his right knee, his right shoulder, or his right testicle?
I'm going with right testicle.
I mean, you have to, right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't leave that on the table.
That's correct. Look at you. You got-
I know more about the actors. That's
more like one actor and one testicle is what you really have to answer to.
But what a testicle.
All right. What am I on? 8. Which UK drama had Hannah Murray, who played Gilly, and Joe Dempsey, who played Gendry, appeared together before Game of Thrones? Is it The Misfits, Skins, Hollyoaks or Sugar Rush?
Yeah, I've never heard of any of those. But I'll guess. I'm gonna say I don't know. Out of the Oaks.
Hollyoaks?
Is he sure?
That is incorrect. The first Ched miss on this one. That was a tough one. All right. Ready? Mm-hmm. So question 9 here is Chambers. The score right now, actually, you're not too bad. I think you're officially mathematically eliminated. However, since there's only 2 questions left, you're only down 5-2.
Not bad.
So you could make this respectable if you get this one and steal the next one.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that'd be very respectable.
That would be a 5-4 loss for you.
That'd be a nail biter.
It would be. I mean, not really, but it's more like garbage time. But
yeah.
All right. Which of these characters is dead? Jaqen Hagar, Nymeria the Direwolf, Hot Pie, or Edison Tollett?
Edison Tollett. What was the first name again?
Jaqen Hagar. It's spelled H
I know
parenthesis.
him. I think I know him. I think it's that.
Okay, so you're going with Jaqen Hagar?
Yeah.
That is incorrect.
Damn it.
All right. Now the route is on. Cheds, you got it? You got this one or no?
I mean, I'm just a little bit. I'm thinking. I don't think Nymeria is dead. That's Arya's wolf. Jaqen Hagar is a faceless man, but he never really dies because he just keeps going. So the other 2 were Hot Pie. I don't think Hot Pie died. So I'm going to go with the last one. What was the last one?
Edison Tollett?
Yeah, I'll go with whoever the hell that is. Never heard of that person, but
well, you wouldn't have heard of him because he's dead. So that is correct. That is correct. 6-2, and the last question here goes to Cheds. What is the name of the giant dragon-slaying crossbow that failed to protect King's Landing? Millipede, the "You're making me very cross" bow? Scorpion or Mantis?
Scorpion.
Mantis.
Scorpion is correct. What an ass kicking that was. 7-2.
It's not fair. I was telling him I've been listening to the Game of Thrones books on tape, kind of just to get my creative juices going.
Just for this podcast.
Yeah, just for the podcast. I've been preparing.
That's amazing.
Well, it paid off. I mean, all that reading that Chamber doesn't like to do, you have proven that it paid off, and a 7-2 landslide victory. So
route.
So that's gonna wrap it up for us. We appreciate you coming on, man. So before we go, we just want to give you the floor to either mention anything we didn't get to, or tell people where they can find you, where they can find the book, all of that good stuff.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm glad I reached out and connected. First of all, gentlemen, thank you. You can find me. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds. I'm on YouTube at Cheds Trading, although not very active. I am putting out a free audio version of my book on YouTube. I'm reading 1 chapter at a time. I just published my memoir on fighting cancer. You can find it on my pinned tweet on Twitter, My Battles with Cancer. If you're just getting started with trading, check out chedstrading.blogspot.com. There's a lot of great free resources there. And I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. If you're looking for kind of an educational platform, you can check that out as well. But yeah, hey, just glad you guys you brought me in here. I'm glad all my cramming for Game of Thrones trivia paid off.
Yeah, man, that is awesome. Well, we've appreciated it. What a great podcast. Chamber, any parting words before we get going?
No, I want to thank Cheds for coming on, and like I said earlier, one of the best guests we've had on in a very long time. So this is definitely one of my favorite shows in a while. So thank you very much for coming on, for talking with us and sharing some stories.
Absolutely. So check out Cheds and grab his book, and otherwise check us out in the normal spaces, coinhq.tv, at coinhq_ on Twitter, and our normal REKT podcast channels. Our Telegram's been popping off lately, Chamber.
It has been popping off, as the kids say.
It's totally been popping off. It's been popping. So yeah, it's been so lit. But so come join us in there and talk about lit things. And that's t.me/REKT_podcast. And that's it for us. So until next time, don't get wrecked. And that is financial advice.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. You can help support us by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and become a REKT patron by signing up for a monthly tier on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/REKT podcast. Don't get wrecked.